cool. Okay, and here, right? So at line number 11, a null pointer exception has been thrown, right? And at line number 12, a null pointer exception, oh sorry, arithmetic exception has been thrown. And whenever we try to throw anything, we throw only the throwable object, right? Now the terminology, are you getting the terminology why it is thrown here? And throwable object, we can throw throwable object only, and then we can catch it. If someone throws something, then only we will catch, right? In the cricket also same thing happens, right? Or in other matches as well, whether it's baseball or something else. Someone will throw, then you will catch, right? I'm audible?
Yes, yes.
Yeah.
So over here, if we see in the exception handling, the terminologies are like we are throwing something, right? What I can throw? I can throw a throwable object, right? If I throw something, if I throw a throwable object, then I can catch it also, right? Visible? So now I can try to execute a code, and if inside a code an exception has been thrown, and that will be a throwable object, then if I have provided an alternative implementation, then it will be caught. Like for example, I have provided a alternative implementation in the arithmetic exception, right? So but the thing is, if I comment out this code or remove this code, now the arithmetic exception will be thrown, right? A throwable object of arithmetic exception will be thrown, and it will be caught, right? So over here, if I run this, now the code will be caught and it will execute gracefully. But if I don't write this, if there is a null pointer exception and try to execute it, now which exception we are trying to throw? Okay, at line number 18, which exception is thrown? Null pointer, right?
Null pointer.
And we don't have anything to catch in the null pointer, right? And we are throwing the null pointer and there is nothing to catch the null pointer. So there will be exception log, right? And code will code will stop execution abruptly, right? If there will be an abnormal termination of the code. Okay, so now when we are okay, let me just remove this and remove this as well. All right. Okay, so let's go now to our throws versus throw. Exception handling. All right, so throw. So okay, basic. All right. So we know the terminology already, right? Okay. So now what will happen? We have seen so far that we have to try to execute a code. So I will try to execute this code over here. Now there will be exception that I want to catch and let's call arithmetic exception only. Cool. And let's say catch block and just print message. All right, now and code executed successfully. Cool. So this is the code, right? And just add two more lines. Oh my bad, just add two more lines, 3 and 4. Cool. What will be the output of this code?
Line 1, 2, 3, 4, and code executed successfully.
Yes, very easy, right? Okay, anyone other than Dikshita finding it hard to understand the try catch or exception handling till now?
It's fine.
All right. Okay, cool. So now the thing is, we have seen that if I want to throw the exception or if I want to replicate the arithmetic exception, I'm just dividing it by 0, right? many times, almost every time I am doing this, right? Now the exception, now the flow will be line 1 2 catch block and code executed successfully, right? Visible? Clear till now, right?
Yeah.
Nothing new. So the thing is, what have been done over here at line number 10?
Null pointer exception.
Null pointer.
Arithmetic.
Oh, sorry,
Arithmetic.
sorry, arithmetic.
Yes. So uh so we have thrown an arithmetic exception, right? No, my bad. Arithmetic exception has been thrown, right? Let me just copy paste it over here, right? Yes.
Yes, yes.
So the code so what we are doing, a throwable, and we have just seen we can throw a throwable object, right? So is arithmetic exception throwable? Yes, it is a throwable, right? If anyone unaware of the why it is, so please go and check the session of inheritance, right? So arithmetic exception is a child class of throwable, so it will be considered as throwable, right? That's why inheritance is also called a relationship, right? So all right, not going to dive deep into that now. So the thing is, we have thrown an arithmetic exception, right? But we have forced the code, right? Is it possible for me to throw the arithmetic exception directly? I'm doing this again and again, right? This is where in the code it will be thrown, right? It will be thrown by the code. But is it possible for me, is it possible for us to throw arithmetic exception? Is it possible for us to throw the arithmetic exception? And the answer is yes, and I'm going to use the exact terminology that we have used, right? This line I'm going to copy paste here, right? Okay, so this is how we force the Java to throw it. And Java is an object oriented, right? Java is object or OOPS language, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
So if I need to provide anything, so this there will be an object of this, right? Arithmetic expression object will be there, right? Am I right? OOPS language will work with objects only, right? That's why
Yes.
object oriented programming. And how we create an object in Java? If I have a class A, how can I create an object of it? Very basic. A equals to new A. No trick question, right? So if I have to throw an arithmetic exception, then in Java, I want to create an object, right? And to create an object, I need the memory. That's why new, right? And to create an object, I have the memory, but I want to create object as well using that memory. So new operator will provide the memory from heap. Heap is nothing but the logical name of the RAM, and arithmetic exception object needs to be there, so constructor needs to be called, right? So this and this. Now the thing is, if I run it, it will be same as throwing an exception of this. Let me run it. Arithmetic exception, right? Code, okay, code block null. Okay, we'll see later on why it's null right now. So I can remove this thing directly. Throw new arithmetic exception, right? So now the question arises. So the question was, is it possible for us to throw arithmetic exception? So see the exact line that we have copy pasted over here, right? Just converted into how we can create an object, because object is a OOPS language, so this is for the OOPS language, right? Otherwise it's exactly same as we speak. We will try to execute some code. The code might throw an exception. So the alternative, so if our code is throwing an exception, then we can provide the alternative implementation by catching that exception, right? And if our code is throwing an exception, the exception can be only throwable. So can we manually throw any exception? Yes, we can throw by using the throw keyword, right? Easy. It's very basic. Am I audible?
Yeah, but without the error, can we throw it?
Come again.
I mean, we don't have that exception anywhere.
Yes. No worries. See, it's okay. All right. Let me just go back. And automatically. Okay, no, not here. Run this thing, right? So see, what's the flow usually? We try to execute some code, right? Line number 1 and 2 will be visible, right? Then at over here at line number 10, there will be automatic exception thrown, right?
Yes.
And let me change it to error. Now there is no alternative code, right? And there is nothing which can catch the automatic exception, right?
Yes.
So what will happen? There is no catch block, right? So the throwable object will leave the try and catch block, right? As soon as exception is thrown, right now it's then it will leave the try block, right? And it can be caught by the catch block, right? But we don't have any matching catch block, so the exception will not be caught, right? Because we are trying to catch the error, not exception. So the exception will reach at line number 16, right? And line number 16 is not inside any catch block, right? Yes.
Yes.
So
Yes.
line number 16 is in the this range, right?
Yeah.
And the main method is doing nothing, right? And who is responsible to call the main method? JVM, right?
Yeah.
And then the exception will be provided to JVM. And as when exception is provided to the JVM, then what happens? Okay, my bad. Let me run this. Now this thing happens. Whenever you will find this thing, exception error, exception log printed, then rest assured that the exception throwable object has reached to the JVM, leaving all the try, catch, or finally blocks, right? It has reached to JVM. So now this is the usual flow. And coming back to our case, okay, here what is happening? I'm again throwing the exception, right? Instead of manually throwing automatic exception, instead of indirectly throwing the automatic exception, I'm manually throwing the object, and I'm trying to submit it. I'm throwing an object of automatic exception, then same thing will happen, right? I'm throwing the object, eventually the JVM will catch it. If no one is able to catch it, JVM will catch it, and if JVM has caught the exception, then it will just simply log it, right? Stop the execution and log it. That's it. But over here, if I'm throwing the exception, now what will happen? Because I'm inside the try block, then it will be, the code will try to catch it, right? And it will be caught, right? And then the normal flow will get executed. See, but the thing is, if I change it to null pointer exception, right? Now what will be the flow?
It will reach to JVM.
Okay, yes, but what will be the output of the code?
Exception. Like it will not caught from line number
Line
1
1 and
to
2 will
after
be
that.
printed, right? First.
Yeah, first to, yeah.
Yeah, and then null pointer exception will be I have manually thrown the exception, then it won't be caught over here, and then it will be submitted to JVM, and JVM will log the exception, right?
Yeah.
Null pointer exception, right? So now the question arises. Okay, it is a part of interview question as well, so I will cover it inside that, right? So this thing I can do, I can manually throw the exception as well, right? So what is the use of throw keyword? Simple, just to throw the exception. What else? See, there is okay, throws is different. We'll see the throws in later part. Okay, it has used the throwable class. Okay, throws. Where is throw? All right. So all method use of throw statement to okay. The throw statements require a single argument throwable objects. One thing, right? Throw requires single argument that needs to be a throwable object, right? One thing that we have seen, because we can only throw a throwable object, right? Throwable objects are instance of any subclass of the throwable class. Visible?
Yes.
And that's it. It is the keyword to hand over the exception to the JVM, and whether it's predefined or user created, we will create our own exception as well. So the thing is, why it is written to provide to the JVM directly, we will see in the interview part, right? So the simple answer of the throw keyword is, I mean, usually what is used is, it is used to submit the exception to the JVM, right? But the thing is, it can be caught, right? The proper answer should be that it is just to throw an exception, and we can only throw a throwable object, so it can be caught if it is inside the try catch block. Otherwise, it will be directly thrown, right? Clear till now?
Yeah.
All right. So let's go over here. Now, basic multiple exception.
One second, I have one doubt here.
Okay, go ahead.
Instead of arithmetic exception, if you give the direct exceptions, it will caught, right?
Come again?
In line number 12, you are giving arithmetic exception for catch, right?
Yes.
So instead of arithmetic exception, if you give direct exception, like
Okay.
exception,
Okay.
then it will be the flow is like it will be caught, right? Line 1, 2, and it will be caught.
Catch block, right? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So what do you think? What should happen?
Yeah, line number 1, 2, and caught. Line number 13.
And then?
And then for 16.
Yes. And why it will happen?
Because exceptions is the parent class for this all exceptions.
Yes. Even it can be throwable as well, right? Because throwable will be the parent class of exception as well, right?
Yeah.
All right. Cool. Okay. So you already know the answer then, right? Cool. So if basics are clear, then we can deduct, right, on our own. Okay. So nice. So everything is clear, right, to you? I don't have to explain. You have already given the answer as well.
Yeah, it's clear. And just confirmation, that's it.
Yes. It's completely clear, right? You don't have to get confused. The answer is completely, I mean, fully satisfactory, right? Nothing else needs.
Yeah.
I would have added if there was something missing, but that was the only thing that I was about to repeat. Okay, so this question is of multiple exception through. Okay, alright, cool. So let me write the exception in, so it can take all the exceptions, right? So let me just write line number 1, and then line 2, right? And over here I'm just writing, okay, let me change it as well. Let me write index out of bound exception, and over here catch block. All right, and then plus a dot get message, and that's it. Over here sysout code executed successfully. Now what I want to do is simply copy. Okay, all right, 3 and 4, right? And now the thing is, I want to write throw new. All right, one exception. All right, then throw new null pointer exception. Visible?
Yes.
Okay, so if I remove this comments and try to execute the code, what will be the output?
Line number 8, 9, and 11.
Line number 8, 9. Okay, then
11.
okay,
And it will be again line number 9. It will reach JVM.
it will reach.
JVM. I think line number 11 itself. And line number 20. Line number 20.
Okay, line number 11 and line number 20. It will skip the 17th line.
70. Oh, like 8, 9, 11. 11, it means like it will be caught by 17 itself.
Okay. So you are saying line
And
number 1, line number 2, and then catch block, and then code executed successfully, right?
yeah,
Okay. Anyone wants to add anything?
It's right here.
All right, cool. So the thing is, answer is not correct. It will be correct if there will be only one line, right? One throw. See, the thing is, the code will definitely going to throw an exception at line number 11, right?
yeah.
So will the code ever reach to line number 12 or anything below the line number 11? Will these lines will ever get executed from line number 12 to 15? If I remove this, every time, will the code ever reach here?
Is it like line 1, line 2, and catch block, and then there is a system exception?
No, there will be a compile time error. The
Okay.
reason is this statement from line number 12 to line number 15, these lines are unreachable, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Because it will always, there is, because I'm manually throwing, right? It's not like it might happen, right? I'm manually throwing the exception. So it is bound to move from line number 11 to line number 17, right? Or there might be a chance that there is no catch block, right? So even if I change the sequence as well, then 2, right? And even if I have a single throw as well, then to line number 15, and this thing will never reach, right? The code will never going to reach over line number 15 and 16, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So these lines, if you will see, if I try to run, the exception will be unreachable statement, right? Okay, cool, no worries. I think you have never seen this unreachable statement exception, right? Cool. Okay, let's temp. It's not like it will happen only with the exception, right? It happens many times. Okay, temp, let's add a unreachable code exception. Cool. Oh, not exception, unreachable code, right? It is very easy to replicate this thing without even exception. See, this is out, line 1 and line 2, line 3, and line 4. Okay, so if I run this code, then line, okay, my bad, just let me comment it out. All right, so so if I run the code again, so line 1 to 4, right? But the thing is, if after this return type is void, right? So I can
Yeah.
just simply write return, right? So if I'll say to return at line number 10, will the code ever execute line number 12 and 13?
No.
The flow will be like 7, 8, and then end at 10, right? So if I try to compile this code, then the same exception will find, right? Unreachable statement. Because these two lines will never get executed, right? Either move it somewhere else before, either move it before so that it can be executed, or don't even write it, right? So that's the exact thing that's happening with us. Any doubt? Anyone? Okay, cool. Just let me delete it. Again, when we come over here, I'm manually throwing an exception, right? So anything if I write below it will not going to work, because an exception will be thrown, and it will be abnormal termination, right? Whenever an exception is thrown, there will be abrupt exception, right? Abnormal termination of the code flow. So that's what's going to happen. The below lines will be unreachable. Cool. And whether there is a single line, next interview question would have been instead of 2, and the same thing will be here as well, right? If I try to throw arithmetic exception as well, this will never be, this line 13 will be unreachable, right? I'm audible?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
So whether there is any line written below the throw, it won't get executed, right? So JVM will not, the Java compiler will not allow you to compile the code, right? So this was the one thing. All right, And the next one. Okay. So unreachable statement, so we have fixed this. Now if we run it, we are throwing the null pointer. Okay, all right. So over here, I'm throwing the null pointer exception. All right, cool. So another one will be throw error runner. See, to save the time, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to simply copy paste the code. All right. So now earlier I was trying to throw the null pointer exception, right? So now I want to throw error. All right. Memory. All right. Let me just change it to error. Okay. No. Where is error? Illegal access error. Okay, I can use illegal access error or internal error. Alright, so illegal access error we can use. Okay, can we throw? Now the question is, can we throw error? Can we throw an error? Okay. If I uncomment the code and try to run it, what will be the flow? What will be the output?
We should be able to throw it because again error is a child class of throwable.
Yes, because error is a throwable, right? What will be the flow?
Line 1, line 2 and catch block. Code
And then-
executed success.
Yes. So if I try to run this, see, we can throw a throwable object, right? Illegal access error is a error. Error is a throwable, right? Eventually we reach to a throwable. So if anything is a throwable, we can be able to throw it. Cool. Now the thing is throw error. Again, now it seems very basic, right? Catch exception. So what we are going to do, we are going to throw an we try to throw an error, but try to catch exception. Cool. So now whether the code will compile, not compile, if compile, then what will be the output? That's how the question, that's how the MCQ is there, right? Compile time error, runtime error, or line number 1 2, and then code executed gracefully, or 1 2 and error log, or 1 2 and then catch block, and then code executed successfully. What will be the output?
Line 1, line 2 and then compile time error.
Compile time error. See, if we are already executing the code, so code is being running, right? That means the dot class file has already been created. If the dot class file has been created, then there is no chance that there will be a compile time error. Compile time
No,
error means that there cannot be.
899 it will reach to JVM.
Come again?
Line number 8 9 and it will reach to JVM.
Okay. Dikshita, that thing is clear, right, to you?
Yeah. I meant
Compile.
to say that, but I mistakenly said this. Sorry.
Okay. If the code is executing, then there cannot be a case of compile time exception, right? Oh,
Yeah, got it.
cool.
Got it.
So the answer provided was correct. Line number 1 and 2. Line number 1 and 2, and then JVM error has been submitted to the JVM, right? Because no one was able to catch it. Now there was one thing that we okay, that is Okay, there are two questions that is left from try, catch, and finally that we can use over here as well. But okay, I don't know. Should I add another over here or should I put okay? But the topic is different here, so let me write it over here as well, right? Multiple catch with exception and throw and error. Okay, have you done this before? Try with multiple this, try resource, try finally. No, cool, no worries. All right, so what I want to do now is just simply I'm going to copy this. Anything will work. Okay, my bad. All right, see, this is the code, right? What will be the output? 1 2 and submit it to the JVM, right?
Yeah.
Now, but if one may allow, can I write error? Okay, what will happen now? Will it compile time error, runtime error? Okay, the thing is, this is runtime error, right? This is runtime exception or error depending on what's happening. So usually we call it exception, right? Whether it's an error as well. You can see exception in the thread, right? Even though it's a child class of error, right? I'm audible?
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
It's called exception handling in Java, not error and exception handling. So it will be whether it's an error or it's an exception, we'll call always it's an exception, right? Because the topic is only exception handling, right? Cool. So now the thing is whether the code will run, will there be a compile time error, runtime error? Whenever we see this, it will be a runtime exception, right? So whether it's a compile time exception, runtime exception, or if the code executes, then what will be the flow?
Line 1, line 2, and 13th line, error catch block.
Okay, so that means you are saying that multiple catch are allowed for exception and error as well, right?
Yeah.
Okay, again, basic, right? Correct answer. Catch block, error, catch block, right? Because it's an error. If I reverse the catch blocks, then
It will be error, then there will be exception.
okay, same output will be there, right? Even if I
Yeah.
reverse the flow, right?
No, I think
It will be same, right?
same. Okay, okay,
Because these both are different, right? Now
okay.
can I add one more catch block and can I make it a throwable? Okay, so now can I add the throwable over here? Now what will happen? Will it run, not run? Compile time error, compile time exception, runtime exception, or if executes, then what will be the output?
Line 1, line 2, and following the order of execution, 11th line.
And 17.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, again, correct. Right. Now, if I change the sequence, and put in between the throwable, now
Same only.
Same.
okay. The thing is, error class is a child class of throwable, right?
Yeah,
So if something is not caught in the error, then it can be an exception, right? If instead of throwing illegal exceptions error, if I throw the automatic exception, then throwable will be able to catch it, right? Because throwable is the parent class of all the exceptions and error, right? So will this line number 14 to 16 will ever get executed? A similar question we have already done it, right? When we were
No.
trying to keep the exception class at the top and then below the arithmetic exception and then other exception, the child classes of those.
Yeah.
Line number this has already been got, right? There will be a compile time error. Instead of writing 10 different, I mean, or permutations, because we already have multiple, so I'm not creating 3 to 4 different things. It is exactly same as wait, try catch finally
Try catch. Yeah.
or try catch find. Okay, not try to find. Okay, I think we have done it right. Try with multiple catch block and with the exception C over here. Arithmetic exception, if it's below, then we have done the same thing, right? Parent class we have used first, right? So it will be already caught here in the catch block. Arithmetic exception, this line will never get caught, right? Same thing we are doing, right? It's the parent class, it's the child class. So child class needs to be before the parent class, right? Because it follows the waterfall model. Similarly over here, okay, not here, multiple catch. Okay, so similarly here, error is the child class of throwable, right? So it's fine if it's before it. Throwable is the parent class. So the thing is, it will not, if it's following the waterfall model, it will check here, catch here, nothing match found, right? If it comes here, match will be found, right? Every time the match will be found, because the exception class is the child class of throwable. So at line number 12 it will be caught. So line number 14, 15 and 16 will never get executed, right?
Yes.
So okay, so I'm not writing it again because it's following the same concept, right, of the question that I have shown. So I'm just reverting it. And again the same next alt permutation can be if I remove it from here and put it at the top. It's still the same error, right? Because throwable will catch all the exceptions, then these two catch block will never get executed, so it will never get compiled, right? So the flow will be, the child classes needs to be at the top, right? And let me put it below it. All right. Okay, so this is good if you are trying to execute this. This will run as well. But the thing is, should we write code in this manner in the production environment or not?
No.
Come again?
No.
Why?
Like if you use throwable itself, it's not going to catch everything.
Come again?
If you use line number 14 itself, no, then it will catch everything, right?
There will be.
It's that only will take care of everything exception, right?
Okay, come again. A little
The line
slowly.
number 14th, no, that
Okay.
one will be take care of every exceptions, no. So no need to add again 10, 11, 10, 13 line number.
Okay, you are saying that instead of 10 and 13, these two catch block, we can directly use throwable, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Completely reverse, right? We don't use
Yeah.
throwable usually, and I mean why this is wrong is these two has already been caught. I mean these two is already taken care of everything, right? So there is nothing for this thing to work. And
Yeah.
other thing is the error and exception needs to be separated only, because error is something else and exception is something else, right? We have already seen that. So these two will be separated. It just, if we are already taking care of exception, these two, error and exception, then the catch block is not required, throwable is not required, or the catch block. But this is executable, and we can, if we try to run it, it will run. All right, so coming back to throw. So over here we were throwing a null pointer exception. So okay, we have thrown a null pointer exception, so we have seen the unreachable statement thing. Okay, over here we have tried to throw an error and try to, the catch block is trying to catch it. Okay, cool, no worries. And then over here throw error runner. Okay, so basic, we are throwing an error, but why basic error? Okay, can we throw an error is here. All right. Okay. See, cool. Now the thing is, I'm throwing something, right? So okay, updating it would be in the basic or just okay, over here we can see one more thing. Okay, e dot get message, right? This message, if I try to run this, what will be the output? Okay, null pointer exception, right? There is no message. Okay, so but it is possible through automatic exception. Okay, let's change it to automatic exception, right? Now the message will be null. Okay, I'm manually throwing, right? Cool, let's go and check. Okay, why go and check, right? I just commented int a equals to 10 divided by 0. So now the message will be, instead of null, the message will be divided by 0. Catch block divided by 0, right? Visible?
Yes.
And even if I change it to null pointer exception, now you can check it on the log as well. Divided by 0, right? This is the this is the name of the exception, this is the message of the exception, right? So now the thing is divided by 0, but if I manually throw it, then there is no message, right? Automatic exception only, no message. So the constructor of the automatic exception take a string as well. So if I add anything, right? If I write anything, my life, my rules, all right? So if I try to run it now, then you can see automatic exception and then my life, my rules. Okay, so the message we can add while we are throwing an exception, we can change the message as well. By default there will be no message but if you want to pass the message, then you can pass the message, right? Visible?
Yes.
Now, right, so I'm not going to write it because this thing we are going to see now as well. So after doing the throw, we are going to move to the next item. Instead of doing the throw, before that we are going to cover how to create manual exceptions.
Abhishek,
Yeah, go ahead.
just want to confirm, error and exception are subclass of throwable, right?
Yes,
And both are completely different.
yes,
If you give in try catch, if you use one is a exception and in a catch we use error, it will work, right?
come again.
Yeah, in throws if you use a exception and then catch block if you use error,
Mm-hmm.
then it will work. It means it will be caught.
If inside the try block we will use,
And any exception like arithmetic exception,
okay, in the try block if we throw an automatic exception like we are doing over here, then go ahead.
then in catch if you throw an error, if you like catch,
Okay, in catch we don't throw, we catch the exception.
catch, yes,
Okay, in the
catch
catch
action,
we are using the error, right?
it will be caught, it will be executed, right?
It will be
No,
called,
no,
it won't.
no, it won't come.
Okay,
See,
okay,
both classes are different. Okay, let me wait. Okay, there needs to be a diagram somewhere. Okay, there it is, right? This is the parent class, right? Throwable.
yeah,
It
yeah,
has a child class exception, and
yeah,
it has another class error, right? So
okay,
it's not like exception is a child class of error. These both are
yeah,
different classes. So if I'm trying to catch an exception, then it can catch all these things that is here. But if I'm
okay,
trying to catch the error, then these things it can catch, right? Okay,
okay,
till
got
here
it,
only. So this,
got it,
alright.
yeah,
Okay, let's go back
got
and
it,
reverse this. Okay, alright. Now, okay, so we are not going to cover complete throw and throws right now. We are now waiting and we will check how to create user defined exception. Okay, will it be okay, we do. Okay, cool. Let's complete the throws. We'll come back to the throw. So now we know about the throw, right? How it works with the user created exceptions we will see after we complete this thing. So so basically throw thing we know, right? Okay, one more exception, one more interview question is there, right? So only, okay, so it's throw without try. Okay, before this there should be another one. Okay, yeah, throw with try and finally. Okay, all right. My bad, let me just comment it first. All right, and finally, okay, and inside finally system.out.println finally block. Okay, and there is only one finally block, it's fine. Then okay, if I uncomment the code, what will be the output? Runtime error, compile time error. If code executes properly, then what will be the output?
Compile time error.
Compile time error. Why?
We don't have cache block.
Okay, so you're okay. So what you are saying that catch block is necessary for using throw.
Yeah, because it should cut, right? Because it's throwing.
Okay, we have less time. Is there any error? No. Who says that it needs to be caught? There needs to be a catch block. That we will see in a while. There are two types of exception, right? Compile time and runtime. We have covered that, right, in the first part. Try catch finally, we are going to cover it also. And in the basic, okay, abnormal termination. Okay, where oh all right, where, okay, compile time error. See, this is the compile time error, right? Runtime error, this is the runtime errors, right? So it depends on which type of exception I'm trying to throw. Right now I'm trying to throw a runtime exception, right? Then it will work. Runtime exception will work. Compile time will not work. We will see more into that when we do the user defined exceptions. All right, wait, let me just show you this thing as well. How we can know that whether this exception is a runtime or compile time? If it's a child class of runtime exception, then the exception will be a runtime exception. And if it's a runtime exception, then it's completely fine, it can work. And let's check if arithmetic exception is a child class of runtime exception, and yes, it is, so it will execute properly. But what if instead of this, file not found exception, right? File not found exception is thrown. If file not found exception is thrown, is it a runtime exception, IO exception? And it is normal exception, right? It is not a child class of runtime exception. Now this line cannot be executed over here, it will be unreported exception. So okay, this question, okay, we can leave this question for now, and then the next question also we can leave it for now. Try with finally, okay, throw with try finally, and throw without try. Okay, so these two questions we can leave it now here. Someone please mention it in the next class that we have to cover these two items, right? Otherwise there might be a chance I will forget it. So cool. So we can leave it here. We'll cover first the user defined exception, then we'll come back here and see this, because there are 3 questions interview based on this. Now we can go to throws now. So throw is clear, right? Few things is left for the user defined exception, then we'll come back to the throw. Am I audible?
Yes.
Okay. So now throws keyword. So what is the use of throws keyword? Okay, cool. So let's do one thing. Let's go first. We have okay 8:11. Okay, till 8:30. Okay. Okay, let's start the user defined exception. Then we'll come and cover the throws as well. It will be better if we cover this thing, right? If I'm going to create a user defined exception, there are 2 things in this which I can create. One is user defined compile time exception. Another would be a runtime exception, right? There are only 2 type of exception: compile time and runtime. What is the difference between these two? Okay, we have seen it many times. Any guess?
Compile time it will be caught during class load time.
Okay. Who answered this?
Me, Vinod.
Okay, it's hard to know me. Can you name please?
Vinod.
Okay, hi Vinod. Vinod, the thing is, you are using the terminology in the wrong way, right? Caught is used when the code will go into the catch block, right? That's when we are going to use that it has been
Okay.
caught. But for the compile time exception, it will not allow the dot class file generation, right? It will not allow the compilation properly if it has arisen, or
Okay.
it will arise during the compile time. That is a compile time exception. And in the catch block, in the, okay, and the thing is, if it's not caught, if there is a compile time exception, if and I'm not providing any catch block, right, then it will not allow me to compile the class. Like for example, over here this is a compile time exception, right? File not found. Visible?
Yes.
Yeah.
If I try to run this, it will not allow me to compile, right? The code has not been compiled. What it's saying that file not found exception must be caught or declared to be thrown, right? Visible?
Okay.
So what that means is that it's saying that okay, Java understand that file not found exception is something that might happen, and I'm manually throwing it, right? Usually what happens, it will be there if I'm trying to load some file, right? Okay, compile time exception. So over here I'm trying to load a file, right? So file to read, if this file to read, I'm provide the wrong path, right? If I run this, now there is no file that exists, right? Okay, I need to comment it. So there might be a chance, right? The file path that I'm providing, a file does not exist over there. It might happen, right?
Yeah. Yes.
So Java forces for some certain cases that you need to provide the alternative implementation for those cases. Because if you are saying that okay, you will try to load a file, then what you need to do when there is no file? That thing we have to provide it in the catch block. Same thing if I say that please class go and sleep, thread dot sleep, right? And for a second, please sleep for a second. Okay, let me remove this. Please sleep for a second. Then also I won't be able to compile this, right? If I run this, okay, IO exception, it's saying for IO exception for now. Let me just copy paste and put it here now. Okay, now if I try to run this, interrupt exception, right? From where this interrupt exception coming? This line, right? Unhandled exception interrupt. You are saying, okay, stop the execution for a second. Okay, we will stop it, but what if the thread wakes up, right? If you are saying someone to sleep, if you have a child, you want the child to get sleep, right? So the best case scenario for you is you can put your child to sleep and then you go to the work, right? But what if your child wakes up, right, before you complete your task and comes back home? You need to have some alternative plan, right?
Yes.
So in certain cases we force the code to, okay, let me just revert it properly. Okay, yes, it's reverted. Cool. So in certain cases we force the coder or the developer to provide the alternative implementation, and that will be in the case of compile time exceptions, right? But there might be a chance there are exceptions that we cannot make sure that it might happen or it will happen. For example, arithmetic exceptions, right? So there might be a chance that user will throw a zero or not. And if I mean, there is nothing, right? I mean, how can I know that there is an operation that might result into a value infinity? For this I need to read the code entirely and try to process try to write all the operations with all the permutation and combinations of the inputs, right? That's usually the work of a testing team, right? I'm audible?
Yeah.
So the language is just a language, right? It's not a testing framework. So it cannot check all the inputs that might be there and let you know that, okay, in your code arithmetic exception can be there, in your code null point exception can be there. In some cases it will tell you, but not in all the cases. And some IDs are intelligent enough to let you know, but not every ID is that much intelligent. And also it's not possible for all the IDs as well to let you know regarding these exceptions, and if your output is in the method chain. If some process is being done in X method, some process has been done in Y methods, and then you are using both those methods and then trying to use get an output, third output, right? So compiler is not able to go through all the process. If you try to do that, then the compile time will increase exponentially, right? That's why we have entire testing team, then we have entire the testing frameworks that check it and we need to write it as well. So there are two types of exceptions, we have covered it earlier as well. One is compile time and one is runtime. Compile time exceptions, we as a developer have to let the other people who are using our code know that, okay, I am using the buffer reader, right? And the buffer reader, that file reader, is not my class, right? This is a code of Java people, right? That thread.sleep that I'm using, right? How does the Java know if I'm using the thread.sleep there will be an interrupted exception? How does it know? If I try to run this, how does it know that, okay, interrupted exceptions will be needs to be checked, right? And line number 11, right? Line number 11, I have this thread.sleep. How does it know? There are infinite number of, there can be, if you are using multiple jars, then there can be n number of exceptions, right? Compile time, runtime, both. When we will create our own exception as well in a while, not today, now we'll do it tomorrow. We'll start by creating our own exceptions, but when we do, there can be infinite number of exceptions, right? There is no limit in the Java project to write any number of classes, right? We can write any number of classes. So I can create 10,000 or 20,000 exception classes. How does it know that, okay, if I'm using thread.sleep, then this interrupt exceptions needs to be handled? How does it know? The answer was inside the keyword that we haven't used now, throws. Is it visible? Throws versus throw. So the sleep method, if I go inside this method, see in Java whatever I am doing, I will be, how many elements are there in Java? Class elements?
Instance block, static block, methods and constructors.
Okay. Variable?
Variables as well.
Okay,
Yeah.
cool. There are five, right? Out of these five, uh, which one is used for business logics?
Methods.
Okay. Why? What are the use case of others then?
To declare the variables.
All right. Yes. See, the thing is, if anyone does not cover the class of first classes, in Java we have variables, methods, constructors, instance block, and static block. Right? There is nothing else that you can write inside a class apart from these things. All right. So now what happens? Variables are used to store data, right? Store data temporarily, right? Temp data. Methods are used for business logic using the variables. Constructor, why do we use constructor?
Initialize the objects of the class.
Initialize the instance variables dynamically, right? Static block, instance block, but manually or hard coded. Same goes with this, right? Why these things are important is one is variable and other three are just initializing that variable, right? So only methods are left, right, for the business logic, right? Is if I'm trying to open a file, if I'm trying to say someone to sleep, is this a business logic or not?
Yes, it is.
So if I need to mention that, okay, if you are using a business logic, then to use this business logic you need to uh, provide an alternative implementation also, that would be a part of business logic only or something else? See, that data I cannot use in any other thing, right? If for using a business logic I need to take care, I need to provide the alternative implementation, then I have to mention it in the business logic only, right? Because other elements don't have anything to do with business logic, right? I'm audible?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, is statement making sense?
Yeah.
Okay, so that means that the sleep method, right? See, now there are two things. One thing could be that the Java compile time, during the compile time, Java is searching all the exceptions that exist in the project and then trying to find out which will be the best suitable for the sleep, right? And how will it know? Again, right? It's need to be AI, and that too again a different level than the ChatGPT and all as well, right? It's going to consume a lot of time as well. I don't know whether you are aware of not. These servers are not basic servers. These are GPUs, way too costly, right, for running the AIs. Now the thing is, in our system, if we are able to run it without the high-end processors with less RAM also, then we are sure that no AI is running in our systems, right? And in 1990s, this thing is going on Java. So if I know that, okay, sleep, if I'm using sleep, I need to handle the interrupted exception, then that data should be associated with the method only, right? With the business logic only, right? Am I audible?
Yes.
So if I
Yeah.
go inside the sleep, now you will see which thing we have left, which keyword we have left.
Throws.
Throws left,
Rows.
right? Okay, let's go and see the sleep. Okay, let's see first which exception it's saying. Interrupted exception, right? Visible? If I try to
Yes.
run this also, then okay, over here also it's saying the interrupted exception, right? So to use the business logic of sleep, I need to provide an alternative implementation of a sleep, right? Of interrupted exception. So we have seen that other class elements is not capable to handle anything associated with the business logic, then it should be associated with methods only, right? So let's check the method over here, sleep. You will see in the signature of this method interrupted exception, right? So by writing throws, what we say that whoever is going to use my business logic or my method will have to handle the exception of this. I am delegating. Okay, so what's the use case of throws keyword? Throws keyword is used to delegate the exception handling responsibility to the caller method. This is the definition of throws keyword. So that means if I add throws in my method, then it will force me to, if someone is using my method, it will force it to handle the interrupted exception. So that means, so if I'm reading the line, right? So over here, IO exception, right? Visible. So that's why I have to handle the IO exception. Okay, the file not found, then from where I will get the file not found? File not found exception, visible.
Yes.
Okay.
So throws keyword delegates the responsibility of exception handling to the caller method. Cool.
Okay.
All right. So let's end the session here because it's going to take a lot of time. So 2 to 3 classes are there. And meanwhile, just one more thing. There is, okay, it's not way too important, but there is one more in the interview because I have seen one time. Okay, I don't think that any one of you will try to appear for TCS or this TCS level firms, but then to cool exception handling, try catch finally cool. So over here, try catch with multiple throws. Where is multiple throw? Okay, not multiple catch. Okay, try with multiple catch, right? Cool. So this is the code, right? What will the output of this?
Line 1, line 2, and catch block null pointer exception. Code completed. Chris.
Right, completely correct, right? Oh shit, let me just revert the code first. Okay, almost done. Not right, cool. Now I'll run it again, and then the answer you have provided is completely correct. Line 1 2 null point exception, code completed gracefully, right? I'm just simply going to copy paste this thing and try with multiple okay, with multiple catch with shared with the shared catch block. Okay, class name is too large, but no worries. So see, same thing, right? Same code I have used, right? Visible?
Yeah.
Okay, so what I'm going to do, I'm going to make a little change, right? Instead of automatic exception, what I'm going to do, I'm just simply going to get e.get message, right? Over here as well, e.get message, cool. And the rend is out of, okay, we can leave it here and let's just update this. If I run this, then what will happen? E.get message. What will happen? Same thing will happen, right? So nothing will be changed, just is a null will be printed, right? Is a null is what? It's a message, right? Null point exception message will be there, right? I'm audible?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, so this thing will work, right? We know that null pointer exception has been thrown over here, null pointer exception, and it will be caught over here, right? In the catch block this, and then it is executed successfully. Now the thing is, it's just an alternative. Okay, so if I just take this null pointer exception, right? Remove the block, cool, and over here do this. If I uncomment the code now and try to run it, what will happen?
Line number 1, 2, and 18.
Okay, cool. See, this is
And
just another way. See why this thing is introduced, right? It was not from the very first. Very first, this is a pipe, which is just mentioning that whether it's an arithmetic exception or null pointer exception, right? I want to write a single catch block for this. Why this has been introduced? The reason was, if we check the multiple catch over here, I have written different things, right? But if I just try to change it, if I want to just write the same thing, right? E dot get message, this is the thing that I want to add here. So all the catch blocks are same, right? I'm audible?
yes.
All the catch blocks are same now, but the thing is, only 3 catch. I want to handle only 3 scenarios: arithmetic exception, null pointer exception, and array index out of bound. I don't want to catch entire thing, right? If something else happen, then I will write another catch block, right, for this. And over here I can mention that, okay, unhandled exception, an exception arise, right? And then there will be something, okay, we will print the exception, and then we will send email alert, right? Send email alert if it is important. If the functionality is important, then we will send the alert as well. Visible? So what the
Yes.
thing is, for three different scenarios, we want to execute the same thing, right? So why I should write same code again and again? It is not right for me, right? So that's why in later on version of Java they said, okay, if your code is same, so please don't write the different catch block, right? Just write a single catch block and just separate it by a pipe. It's called a pipe. Cool. So if your code is same, you can use the pipe, right? You don't have to write multiple catch blocks. Now the thing is, this thing a lot of people don't know. So when it comes in the MCQ, then they get confused and check the box of compile time error. Cool. So that's the only thing. Let me revert the code. Okay, cool, now it's fine. So coming back to our this thing, so now we know this is acceptable, right? So if I run this, the same output will be there. Visual.
Yes.
And what I can do is I can just simply put this here as well, and these three exceptions will be caught by a single catch block, and over here I will use the exception class, right? The parent class will be the will be the last one, right? Unhandled exception. Cool. So if I try to manually throw an exception, and which is not in from the arithmetic null pointer or array index out of bound, then it will come here, right? Cool.
Yes.
All right. Okay, let's end the session today. Tomorrow we will see